Test. Hi, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another GIMP tutorial. First of all, don't look at that. That's not my mess. That's my husband's mess. He's building a computer. Just look at my cat. Sleeping. She's adorable. Anyway, I thought I would make a tutorial today for how to create a mock-up for your digital art that you intend to sell on Etsy or maybe another platform. I don't know. How to use this free picture from Unsplash and put your digital art in it and create a mock-up. I've had some requests to do how to deal with frames that are tilted like this and it's not just flat on and with stuff in front of it, so I thought this would be the perfect example here to teach all that. So let's go ahead and open up our friend GIMP. Okay, so this picture is also wide enough for Etsy, so you could follow this tutorial along exactly using this source photo and use it for your Etsy shop. It'll work great. Okay, so the first step is to remove the art, just like all the other tutorials I've done. We have to remove the art first, but we have a problem. There's something in the way. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a path around the art, and I will show you how to deal with the stuff in front of the art and go from there. To make a path, we will use up on the top left here, there is this, it looks like a spray can to me. I don't understand the icon. It's called the Paths tool. If you don't see it here, you can go to Tools, Paths, right there. Okay. I want to point out at the top right here, there's 3 options here for edit mode. It's supposed to default to design, and if it's on one of these other ones and you think it's not, it will drive you crazy and you won't realize what's going wrong. Just check on those settings over there. It should be on design when you're doing this. So to zoom in, hold down Control and use your mouse wheel. So we're going to zoom in, and just like last time, we basically have to make a circular path around the art. And we have to start and stop in the same spot. So we have to go in a circle, and it doesn't matter whether you go counterclockwise or clockwise. You just have to go in a circular path, but you can't cross paths. You'll see what I mean. So we're going to hold down Control, zoom in. I'm just going to start on the bottom left corner. It doesn't matter which corner. I'm going to start in this corner where the mat ends. So I will go right there and click my mouse to place one path point. Okay, I will zoom out. I'm holding Control and I'm moving the mouse wheel to zoom out. To scroll left and right, hold down Shift. Hold down Shift and use your mouse wheel. So Control and Shift makes you zoom in and out and scroll left and right. And to scroll up, you just use the mouse wheel. So I zoom up, or scroll up, hold down Control, zoom into the next corner. And it doesn't matter if you go to this corner or if you go to this one. Doesn't matter. I'm just choosing to go this way. So since we have a straight line, remember the shortest path or shortest distance between 2 dots is a line. So I'm going to place a dot here and it will just create a line. So it doesn't have to be perfect now. Like it's not perfectly against the mat. Don't worry about that yet. Let's just get the general path going. So next we go to the next corner. Remember, I'm going in a circle and drop a path, click. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, here's where things get a little dicey. We can't just drop a path in the next corner and expect it to work, because then we would be cutting off the tree. I don't know why it's glitching like that. There we go. We can't do that. So I'm going to click Control Z to undo that. We are going to basically go as far down as we can until something obstructs our path, which would be right here. Okay. Now here's where things get a little dicey. This honestly is not easy. I would say this is more of an intermediate level GIMP project. It will take time, but the good thing about this is like you do it once, you spend your time on it, you do it once, you can save it as a template, and then in the future when you're creating your designs, you can just drag them in. And you don't have to do this every time. You do it once, drag your art in every time in the future, and that's it. So I'm sure you're thinking, how do I do this next? Because this is not a straight line that we're dealing with, you're going to have to start drawing curved lines. Now, I will admit, I'm kind of lazy when it comes to this. Like, literally what I will do in this case probably is I would sit here and draw a bunch of little dots because I'm lazy. And I can do this kind of fast, honestly. And that is an option. You can do that. So you could literally, like, do this all around. Like, you can do that if you want. In fact, I do that quite a bit. But some people would be very deterred by that. I get it. So I will teach you how to use the path tool with curves. So this is very confusing. I'm not going to lie. So I will try to explain this the best I can. So let's just explore a little bit the path tool with curves before we deal with the leaves. So if I were to draw my next point just straight out to the left like that, and I were to draw a curve, so let's talk about how to do a curve. How to do a curve. Okay, so we are currently highlighted on this path point here. You can see all the other ones are still white. So that means the one that's not white, that's the active point, the active path point. So that is the active one. That means this is the one we can manipulate. So you can see if I, what is it again? Give me a sec. Okay, got it. So what you're going to do is every path point gets two, what they call handles, two handles. And the handles are kind of like, I think of them as puppet strings. Like one handle pulls the line one way and one handle pulls the line one way and the other handle pulls the line the other way. Let me show you what I mean. If I hold down Control, so you see how the cursor changes there? And you see it's highlighting, when I hold down Control, it's highlighting the little handles we're about to draw. So we're going to hold down Control. We see the icon change. I'm going to hold down Control the whole time while I do this. So I'm going to click on the path point and I'm just going to move my mouse out. Doesn't matter where, you could drag it any which way. Move it out and you can see nothing happens. I know, that's confusing. The reason nothing happens is because this path point is not connected to anything else yet. There's no subsequent path. If there was, you see what happened there? So it looks like nothing's happening yet. It's because there's no next path point. So we're going to do it again. We're going to create that other handle. So again, we're going to hover over that point, hold down Control. You can see the icon change. Now we're just going to drag in the opposite direction. And you can see I can now manipulate this line. Let me zoom out. So now at this point, you've created your handles. You don't have to hold down Control anymore. You can click on a handle and drag it any which way. Okay? So this is how curves work. You can see if I keep the handle short, it doesn't do much. If I make it real long, you can really manipulate it. So honestly, you're going to have to play with this and figure it out. That's honestly what you're going to have to do. And this is why I suggested the little dots. Honestly, I mean, I like that I know how to do this now, but if it will take a while for you to get there to the point where you're comfortable using this. I'm not going to lie to you. So if you want to do the little dots, do the little dots. It doesn't matter. Whatever is the easiest way for you to create a path around these curvy leaves, do that. I will show you the proper way to do it though with these curves. So let's click undo. And I am gonna, it will look like I'm doing the most random stuff, but I have a strategy for where I'm going to place my dots. So what I'm looking for here are places in the leaf where the curve looks cohesive and smooth. I don't even know how to explain this. So let me just explain. I'm going to drop a path here, 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 and here. So let me talk about what I just did. It's so hard to explain. I'm basically dropping points where the angles curve, I guess. So right from here to this corner to this path, it looks like one single curve. But then you can see at the tip of the leaf, it kind of looks like it curves the other way. So let me just show you with the handles now what I intend to do. So remember, you can only manipulate the handles on the point that is active. So I'm going to make, let's start with this point. I'm going to click on that. So it has 2 lines on each side. That means each handle will create, you're going to see something happen. So I'm going to hold down Control. I'm just going to start making a handle. And you can see this line starts. So you see it's kind of a pretty smooth curve there. That's why I chose to drop the point there. It's from experience. I know what to expect from it. And see, you can still manipulate these points if you want. Like if you want to adjust those after the fact, you can. You will find once you play with this, usually what you're going to have to do is manipulate the handle on each side of a curve. What I mean by that is on this first hump, I'm going to have to create a handle on the other side of it. So I'm going to make this the active point now and start dragging. Oh, you can see it's doing the one we don't want it to get. So I'm going to click undo. I'm just going to draw straight opposite from that line. I don't want a curve there. Then I'm going to do it again. And you can see there's the curve I want. So it's just going to take some playing to figure out how to manipulate these curves. And like I didn't want to lie to you, this is pretty advanced. It's annoying. It takes time to learn. But once you learn it, it's a good skill to have. Just go ahead and watch me for now. Watch what I'm doing, and I'll try to explain the next parts. Okay, so I'm going to make this the active point. I'm going to draw a handle, and I'm going to kind of curve this way. Don't worry about if you cut into any pixels. It's better to cut into the leaf than the opposite way. Like you don't want that, obviously, because then you're going to see some of the art still. It's better to cut into the leaf. Okay, so you zoom out, it looks pretty good. So we're back to the frame. Okay, I'm going to click on this. Let's just keep going for now. So I'm going to draw a straight line down to the next leaf. Let's zoom out and see. So you see what's happening here? We're drawing points around the leaf. And again, like I said, you could do those little dots if you want and just make little tiny line increments. You're not going to be able to see that from far away that it's jaggedy lines. You won't be able to tell. Let me show you what that would look like. Do I want to bother with that? Yeah, I do. Okay. Now, here is a peculiar area. Let me get a paintbrush. Oh, too big. This little part here, so we have this here, which is the matte. Then we have this here, which is the art. So we're going to need to cut that red part out after the fact because it's technically a hole. You see there's 2 leaves touching here, so I can't get around that leaf. I'll show you what to do with that in a second. Uh-oh. Okay. I'm glad I showed you this. So if you accidentally exit the path tool, see, I clicked the path again, and I'm ready to continue my path, but it's gone. Don't freak out. The way to find it is to go to your layers panel, click, there's a little guy here called paths. Awesome, my cat just threw up. Go to the paths in your layers panel, and you can see there's one called unnamed. That's the one you just started. To get it back, right click and just click edit path, and it'll come back. So don't freak out. It'll be there. All right, let's continue. I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to draw some little lines to show you how that is now. See, to me, honestly, this is way faster than manipulating those curves. So I'm just going to show you that both are options. It is not a big deal. Whoops. See? You zoom out and it looks basically like a curve because there's so many little dots. See, sometimes on these very smooth long ones, it does save time to do it the quote right way. Oh, whoops. So I am just going to continue. I'll probably speed this up. See, that's not perfect right there. Nobody's going to be able to tell. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to continue on around the perimeter of these leaves that are in the way of the art. That'll do. Okay, so we made it all the way around. Again, we still need to deal with that little hole I talked about. Don't worry about that yet. So now we just close it out. We're there. So I'm going to draw here. And then I'm going to draw, I'm going to hold down Control while I click on the last one to connect it. So there we go. What we do now is, let's just zoom in and check. Remember, this one was a little off, so what I'm going to do is go to this top line here, and I'm just going to scooch it a little. Just scooch your line or your dots wherever you need. Honestly, I think that is fine at this point. Okay, so, ooh, I forgot a crucial step. I'm going to go back to my layers. Remember, we were just on paths. Click on layers again. Right click on your layer. You should only have one at this point. Click add alpha channel. That's very crucial. If you don't do that, this next part won't work. Okay, so now I'm going to click enter. There we go. And you should see the little marching ants. That's a good sign. At this point, I'm going to click delete. Ta-da! There is no art anymore. So we need to get rid of the marching ants so we can deal with that hole. So what I'm going to do is go to select none, or you can click Shift Control A. Is that right? Shift Control A. Okay. So now, this path stuff is annoying me. It's kind of in my, it's obstructing what I need to do. So I'm just going to click anything else. Like I just clicked the move tool and now the path's gone. Now I will click path again. We need to create one more path around that little hole. So I'm going to zoom in, Control, mouse wheel, and I'm going to do my little dots. Enter, delete. Okay, there we go. So, this is bothering me a bit. I didn't cut into that leaf enough. So what we can do is a little quickie fixie is click the eraser tool, make it really small, and even smaller than that, like maybe 2 pixels, and just erase that a bit. No worries. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay, so this is essentially your template at this point. So we're going to drag in some art now, and I will show you how to put it in this frame even though it's crooked. So I'm going to just pick some random art. Okay, so I just brought in some new art. I'm going to add it as a new layer. So you should have 2 layers at this point. Your frame you just edited and your art. Right now it's in the wrong order. Obviously the art is on top of everything. So to rearrange the layers, just click one layer down at the layer panel on the bottom right and just hold your mouse down while you're clicking and just drag it and you'll rearrange it. So at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale the image, the art, and I'm going to play with the rotation and the perspective of the art. So we'll walk through that step by step. I'm going to click Shift S and this brings up the scale tool. Scaling means just making it bigger or smaller. We want to make sure this lock here is locked. If you don't and you try to scale your image, you're going to distort it. So make sure it's locked. Click on any of the corners, hold it down with your mouse, just start dragging them. And just try to make it the approximate size of the area you need. Like I can see here I'll need a width of about that. Maybe a little bigger. We will try that first and click scale. Okay. Next we're going to rotate the image. Click Shift R to bring up rotation. Now what this does is your art is currently flat, and what it will do is it will just rotate it this way. We're not doing anything like this at this point. That's called perspective. So right now this is just going to rotate but keep it flat. So at this point, you can't really see it, but there's a little icon in the middle of your art there, and you can see your mouse looks a little different. So what you do is you just hold down your mouse anywhere on the art, and you can hold your mouse down and drag, you'll be able to rotate. So we are going to, this is interesting. We're just going to try that for now. I feel like we're going to, yeah, we'll definitely have to play with the perspective. Okay, so I rotated it, but it's too flat right now. It needs to be like this a little bit. So we're going to open the perspective tool, which I believe is Shift P. Yeah, okay. So this, you'll have 4 corners to play with, and you just click and drag and play with them, right? See, look how much you can change the perspective. Like you can make it tilt way back. So you're just going to drag these around to the corners, and you want to make sure it doesn't skew too much. Like you want to try to make it look realistic. Obviously you wouldn't want something like this. Technically that fits in the frame, but that looks stupid. Okay, so I'm going to click transform. I am happy with that. You want to make sure your art is centered and not clipped off or anything. Okay, so what we're going to do at this point is we are going to adjust the coloring. I'm not sure if this will apply to you, but let me just show you how I would approach this, because right now the art still looks super fake. So you can tell this is a white room, right? But if you look at it, if you look at the photography for a sec, like your brain is telling you it's white, but if you look at the pixel, like here, let's do something real quick. I'm going to get my eyedrop tool and I'm going to pick on like what I think is the whitest area. To me, it looks like over here on the right. So I just clicked on that area and I'm going to see what color that is. Can I make this bigger? Yeah, here we go. So you can see what color it picked. It's actually like a bluish gray. Pure white is up here in the corner, like that. So you can see here where it says current and old, those are different. So what I'm trying to tell you is this is a white room, but the photography is very cool toned. See, we picked up hints of blue, right? It's very cool toned. Cool means blues and purples. Warm means oranges and red. It's a very cool toned white room, and it's skewing towards grayish blue. It's not pure white. So what do we do with that information? We're going to make sure we're on our layer with the art. You're going to go to colors, and you're going to go to exposure first. Right now this art looks like it's in blinding light. It's too bright. So we're just going to bring the exposure down a little bit. That looks good to me. You don't want to do it too much and like misrepresent the true color of your art. Don't do that. That misleads customers, and they'll message you and they'll say, hey, I thought it was this color, and don't do that. Make sure you're representing your art right. Okay, so I'm happy with that. It is way too warm toned still. So I'm going to cool down the color, but I'm not going to make it look blue. I'm going to make it look like a warm toned piece of art still, because it is. Honestly, this was probably not the best art to drag in here. I would never put like a yellow orange art in a white room like this. It would, no. But we'll deal with it. So we're going to go to colors, color temperature. And okay. So I don't know the difference between these two. Just play with them. Make it look a little, like, to me that looks good. It cooled off the art a little bit, but it still looks yellow. So I'm going to go with that. Let me see. It needs shadow. Like right now, even though the matte on the frame it's very flat, it's got thickness still, right? So we need to drop a tiny bit of shadow on the art from the matte. So what we're going to do is we're going to be on the layer with the frame. We're going to go to, is it filters? Light and shadow, drop shadow. Okay. You can see what it did there. Now, before you do this, zoom out, look at the light source in your room, okay? You can tell the light source is coming from the right, over here on this blank wall, okay? It's coming from the right, it's casting shadow on the left. If my hands are going the opposite way, I'm sorry. I don't know what the perspective is for y'all. So we need to make sure the shadows match that. So in this case, you can unlock this, right? It doesn't have to be equal shadows on both sides. Like if your light source is up here, the shadow would be, just unlock it. You're fine. So just play with these, honestly. Just play with these. And if you're closer to the center, that means less shadow. So I will stay closer to the center because the mat of this frame is so thin, right? But I'm just going to play with this. And first I'm going to figure out, okay, so I need this on towards the left. Okay. You don't want to do it too much like I said. No, this would be down. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. I will click OK. This is bugging me. I want to add a filter to make it look like it's printed on canvas. So I'm going to go to Filter. What is it again? Artistic? Yeah. Artistic, Apply Canvas. Ah, we're doing it to the whole thing. No. Make sure you're on the art. Ah, no. Okay. Filters, Artistic, Apply Canvas. And I'm just going to make this like so subtle. Like just hints of something. Barely anything. You can barely tell if you scroll out. I am happy with that. Okay. So if we look at it now, it's looking mostly okay to me, but the tree needs shadow as well. The tree. That's a ZZ plant. The ZZ plant needs a little bit of shadow casted on the art because it's covered in glass, right? So we're going to add a new layer and we're literally going to paint a shadow. Don't be scared by this. It will be fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find my eyedropper tool. Again, it's over here towards the top left. If you can't find it, go to Tools. Tools, Color Picker. It's called Color Picker. Sorry. I'm going to go to Color Picker. I am going to zoom in. And I'm going to... I'm just going to click here where there's some shadow casting on the mat. I'm going to click there. Okay. So it's got a color picked for us. There it is. And I'm going to get my paintbrush. And I'm going to make it... Yeah, that's a good size. And this is going to look dumb. Oops. Let's put this layer here. Okay. So, I'm literally going to draw something like that. Okay? This looks stupid. Don't worry. Okay, so I literally just drew some blobs. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make it along the, like the same similar shape as the tree, or the ZZ plant, and also make sure you're following the rules of the light source, right? So, now what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the opacity of that shadow we just drew. Okay? I'm going to make it thicker for now just so you can see what I'm doing. You know what, also, I'm going to draw some here as well, because you can see, like, the shadow should continue there. You can see that. So I'm just going to draw something like that. And maybe here as well. Okay, that's fine. We'll go with that. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the opacity of that. Honestly, I want to blur out those edges, so I'm going to go to Filters, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Ooh, look what it's doing. Cool. Okay, so if there's no Gaussian blur, it looks like hard edges. If there's a lot, it softens them. So just play with it. Do what you want. If you want it to look like a more distinct shadow like that, do that. I want just like the tiniest hint of shadow. I don't want it to overtake the art. That's fine to me. And then on top of that, what you can do is, nope, I'm not fine with that. I want more Gaussian blur. Filters, blur, Gaussian blur. Just a little more. Okay, wait. I'm like staring at it too much. Let me look back. That's good. Right there. Okay. So you can play with the mode. And what I mean by that is if you look at your layers panel, so we're on, oh, my layer's called art. Let me rename that real quick. So to rename double click, I'm going to call it shadow. And I'll call it shadow 1 in case I want to make another one, and I'll show you what I mean. You can play with the mode. So right now we're on the layer called shadow 1, and where it says mode here, there's a drop down, and you can play with these. Like screen, no, screen's not a good one. Dodge, no. Just play with these. Like I kind of like that. Maybe. Just play with these. Honestly, I don't know what they mean. Kind of like that too. And if you want the normal one, go with the normal one. Nobody's going to be staring at your picture this long and be like, those shadows look strange. But if something looks wrong, like if you have a shadow in the wrong spot according to the light source, something will look off to them. So just, play around. I think I kind of like I like that too. Like I might stick with that. And I'm going to create a new shadow or a new layer, call it shadow 2. And in areas I want to like maybe make it a little darker, I will do that. So I'm going to go to paintbrush. I'm going to pick, honestly, probably a more green. Yeah, like that. More green. I'm going to go here again. I realize I want more shadow. Oh no, wait. I want shadow on, no, hold on, let me think. I think I want more shadow like immediately right under the leaves here. Oh, and maybe also here. Like just like that or something. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing. We are going to go to opacity and lower it. We are going to go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I'm going to blur that out. Maybe not as much so you can still like see that it's darker than the other ones. I'm going to click OK. All right. I am happy with that personally. So here's what I want you to take from this. The easy part to me is the cutting out the art. Like that's the easy part to me. The hard part with stuff like this, where there's stuff in the way and there's shadows being cast, which is why I told you in the first tutorial, try to pick a frame where nothing is in front of it and it's straight on. They're just the easiest to do. But these look nice too, so it's nice to have stuff like this. I hope you picked up on the fact that the easy part is cutting, like making your template, right? Cutting out the old art. The hard part is taking into account the lighting, the light source, the color temperature, and the shadows. And did you notice the color of the shadows that I drew? Like you think a shadow, you think black or gray. They weren't those colors, right? Shadows and highlights from lighting in photos is not so black and white, literally. It's very more complex, it's much more complex than that. So I drew blue shadows and I drew gray or green shadows, right? So you can play around with color, right? And just try to make it look as realistic as possible. It does not have to be perfect. Don't worry about that. Make it look not fake. I'll put it that way. A customer can see a fake Photoshop a mile away. Something looks off in their eye, and something in their eye, something from their eye, like what they're seeing will tell them that something is off. So Anyway, I'll try to keep this one short. We'll see with editing. I don't know how long this will be, but if you have any questions, drop a comment and make sure to subscribe. I will be making more GIMP tutorials. I love GIMP because it's free. I hate that Photoshop, you have to pay every month. Are you kidding me? Even though I do it. I have Photoshop for photography. And I use GIMP for my Etsy shop. Could you do everything in GIMP with photography? Maybe. I haven't played around enough with that. But anyway, I love GIMP. It's free. It helps people get started on their Etsy shop with very low cost. I literally started my Etsy shop with $0. Zero. So you can do this, okay? If you don't be scared by technology. Just play around. So I'm a sysadmin at work, right? And one of my biggest qualms with people is like, just play with the software. You're not going to break anything. If you mess up, start over. But like, the way to learn is to play around. See what happens when you click this. See what happens when you do this. It's just trial and error, right? So don't be scared of it. Technology is your friend. And if you have any questions, drop a comment and I will help you out. So I hope everyone has a great day.